In this episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief, I sit down with Jay to talk all about his playtesting journal. Then we'll see what other gems are on Kickstarter. This episode is powered by 60 Second Chef. Quick to learn, easy to play, and super fun. Plus, it'll help us get veggies in front of our kids on the tabletop. Who said they had to be edible? Want to know more? Go listen to my interview with one of the designers now. Episode 235, Wishlist Wednesday on Saturday, 60 Second Chef. It'll be on Kickstarter through Friday the 22nd of March, so check out 60 Second Chef now. This episode is powered by Kyle Cottonbrook and his character casket. It's multiple accessories all in one kit. Affordable prices, and it's convenient for you. Think of a corpse for your dice and minis. It's on Kickstarter through Monday, the 15th of April. This episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is proudly powered by Brayden's World, makers of Heroes of History card game. Sam, the game's creator, was on with us during episode 235, Wishlist Wednesday, Heroes of History Take 2, to talk about his game. And after we got our copy, we are really excited to get started. It's the only game on the market where you can have Norse heroes fight American generals in a Minotaur's lair, which I can't wait to try out. The new set of Glorious Greeks and Vicious Vikings is out now. For listeners of the show, you can get a 10% rebate by emailing Sam, which will leave the link in the show notes, with a copy of your receipt, and he'll get you 10% off. And the first 10 listeners to leave an Amazon or eBay review will get you a 5% rebate by doing the same. Visit Brayden'sWorld.com and learn more about how you can order Iron Flanks versus Dragon Boat Raiders, as well as the beginner set Midnight Riders versus Echoes of the Plains. Heroes of History. Do you have what it takes to be a hero? This episode is powered by Solar Flare Games and their latest Robotech Crisis Point, which is a two-player head-to-head card game. Strategy, tactics, area control, bluffing, and hand management all come into play in this dynamic and deep game of alien versus human in a battle of wits and courage. Will you save humanity or utterly destroy it? If you're up to the challenge, rush on over and pre-order Robotech Crisis Point today. Pre-orders will run through May unless they sell out, so don't dilly-dally. While you wait, you can check out Solar Flare's other Robotech game and or watch Robotech anime on Amazon Prime, possibly Netflix too. This episode is powered by The Great Nameless, a game of divine might and cosmic horror. Sibling gods declare war on each other, while their mindless progenitor threatens to destroy all of creation. 1 to 4 players. Catch our interview with Josh in their update entitled The Great Nameless, featured on podcast Getting Geeky with Game Relief. And then make sure you jump over, and if you like what you heard or what you see, back their campaign before Sunday the 31st of March.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
If you're a board game designer, then you know that the most important part of your process is playtesting your game. But when it comes time to playtest, do your notes look like this or more like this? With the launch of the Fail Faster Playtesting Journal, we hope to not only improve your skills as a playtester, but your skills as a game designer.
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me either, but this is a story of not necessarily a game, but of Fail Faster, the playtesting journal that's currently on Kickstarter. And today we're lucky enough to have on the creator mastermind of this. Is that correct, Jay? Is that how you fall in line with Fail Faster?
Mastermind, yeah, I'm a mastermind. That's it.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on Getting Geeky with Game Relief to talk all about it.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
No problem. Now, before we jump into that, let's rewind a little bit. How did you get into playing tabletop board games, Jay?
I got into it early-ish in the mid to late '90s, and it was pretty much, it was Magic the Gathering, and it was my buddy Senfeng Lim who's got me, just kind of hooked me into that, and I was like, just fell right into it. I'm like, this is the best thing that's ever existed in the history of time, and I just poured everything into that, and I loved it. And this is back during, I think, Antiquities, like the second or third expansion ever, kind of thing. So I had a lot of pretty good cards for a while there. And then, then that segued into all the Euro games with Catan and all the other. I remember Big City being a big game at the time. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is so cool. And who knew games could be like this? And then eventually Sen and I were like, we could make games. Why don't we make games? And so we tried our hand at making games, and we, like most people on their first attempt at anything creative, failed miserably. And it wasn't until I literally moved away from the province, because I'm in Canada, the province that he lived in, and moved to a different province, that we decided to try to stay in touch with each other. And we said, let's do this game design thing again, give it another go. And we did. And because we were far apart, we used a lot of the tools that are available on the internet, even 10 years ago when we started. And that helped us keep us motivated, and we just kind of kept at it. And I know we have over a dozen games that are out right now, and many more signed, ready to come out. So it's pretty exciting.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, was there a certain game that got you moved over from the CCGs of Magic to hobby gaming?
Oh, from playing?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Catan or not. Actually, I'm not sure. There was definitely just there was. No, I can't. Robo Rally, I remember, was one of the first one, because that, again, I think it was a Wizard of the Coast game at the time, and I bought it probably because it had associated with that. I'm not sure, but no, I don't think there was one specific game. Much like today, we were just playing all sorts of games, and we had friends that just had all sorts of different weird types of games. That back then they were weird because we're like, never experienced it before. And now this is the normal.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Now, what are you playing these days, Jay?
Not too much, because I have twins, 2-year-old twins, and so I'm pretty much kind of housebound most of the time. I do get out one night a week to play, but that is my playtesting night. So I get together with other game designers in my area here in Vancouver, Canada, and we playtest each other's games every week, and that's important.
Well, there you go. The twins don't like games?
Well, they're 2 years old.
Well, awesome. We'll have to get a game going for them sometime. That's awesome. So, playtesting your own game. You said when your first game, it fell miserably. Why did that happen, do you think?
I think it's because whenever you appreciate any type of creative medium, art, music, obviously games we're talking about, you have a certain standard, and you understand, you're like, this is what good looks like. And you know that because you've played a bunch of those games. You've looked at a lot of that art, you've listened to a lot of that music, you know what good is. And then for the first time, when you try your hand at creating something in that medium, you start to realize, you're like, you know what, this is not good. You immediately know that it's not good, because how could it be good? How could something that you have no experience in on your first attempt be good? It's impossible. And so, unfortunately, it's where a lot of people jump off, and a lot of people go, well, I guess I'm not supposed to be a game designer. I guess I'm not supposed to be a writer. I guess I'm not supposed to be an artist, musician, whatever, because the first time they failed at it. And we felt the same way. We were like, we just kind of stopped talking about this game that we were designing every time we got together. And eventually we just never talked about it. Again, it wasn't until I moved away and we just gave it another go and really, really, really tried harder to focus on and stay motivated, that we actually pushed through it. So yeah, it's that whole time period of where you are sucking at it based on your own standards, that's where you're gaining experience, and you have to go through that. You have to gain that experience to understand what isn't good. And this is the whole kind of concept behind failing faster, just understanding that you're going to be failing a lot when you're new at any type of creative medium, and you want to do that as fast as possible. And in the game design world, that's through playtesting.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. When I accidentally, I'm listening to something, I finished editing a certain episode that I have been doing recently, and then all of a sudden on my iTunes, something from way back when will pop up, and I'll listen to it, and it's like, wow, that stinks, that stunk, that audio stinks compared to what I'm doing now. So I hear you in the failing faster. Now, somebody listening, they probably know other games you've come out with. I know of In the Hall of the Mountain King, but what other games have you designed, Jay?
Sure, yeah. In the Hall of the Mountain King just finished funding on Kickstarter from Burnt Island Games. I designed that with my buddy Graham Johns. But all my other games prior to that have come out, it's been with my buddy Sanfeng Lim. And so our biggest game that came out, was our first game. It was Belfort, and that just had a Kickstarter to do a reprint of it last November, and that got a couple $100,000 worth of funding, so that was nice. And Akrotiri is a great 2-player game from Z-Man Games. And Junk Art, if you like dexterity games, is a lot of people say that's one of the best dexterity balancing games out there. We have a game set in the Dungeons and Dragons world called D&D Rock Paper Wizard, kind of almost a party game of throwing gang signs at each other. It's not gang signs, it's just hand gestures, which is kind of fun. And all sorts of other things, from Godfather and Orphan Black to party games and abstract games, all sorts of different games.
And being a designer and all, it seems like that's what you do a lot of. Are you always going through other publishers, or how does that look for you, Jay?
Yeah, I'm pretty much just a freelancer. So, the concept is that, you design games just because you think they're cool, like whatever game you think is like, this is neat, this is different, I haven't seen a game like this before. And then you pitch it to all sorts of different publishers at different events and conventions, like Gen Con and Origins, all these types of events. And yeah, whoever says that they're interested in it, that's who I'll sign with. Not whoever. At the beginning, for sure, it was like that, because you're like, yeah, you want my game, I'll sign it. Now we're actually have the ability, because we have a bit of credibility behind us, that we can kind of pick and choose, and we can have ask for certain things, or maybe have multiple offers and be able to decide which is the better publisher for this game.
Cool, yeah. And Graham said you guys are playing quite a role in the Hall of the Mountain King, even after the publisher picked it up, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we were actually kind of the developers for that game, in addition to Helena and Josh and their contributions. But we kept playtesting it mostly because they asked for a co-op mode for the game, and that took us 5 to 6 months to try to figure out how to turn a competitive game into a co-op mode, because we don't like when things are just tacked on, or feel like it's just like, see how many points you can get to and then try to beat that, and we don't like that. So we had really struggled for a long time trying to figure out how to make a balance so that it was an interesting motivation, but there was still some threat and pressure that you could lose, but it was scaled well from the number of players, and it was really challenging. That was one of the hardest things I've done recently from a game design perspective, but we did it, and it's awesome now.
Oh boy, and we can still play competitive, can't we?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good, yeah, because around our house, we much prefer the competitive games, but that's good that the co-op people will be able to have it and not just have it thrown up or whatnot, from what it sounds like, so that's good.
That's right.
Awesome. Now, you've created games and stuff, but word on the street is you have something to help other game designers or people that want to maybe wet their toe in the game design thing. You created the Fail Faster, the playtesting journal. What can you tell us about that, Jay?
Well, it's kind of fun. So a couple of stories that kind of lead into why this existed is, one, I teach game design at the Vancouver Film School as part of their video game design program. And part of their final project is they have to design a prototype, an actual board game. And part of their marks for that is, like 20% of the marks is their playtesting notes. And so I had provided them some kind of guideline of here's the kind of notes I'm looking for. And so that existed. And then last year, I've been doing that for about 6 years. Then last year I had a little mini event here in town in Vancouver, Canada, where I invited my other game designer friends, and we all had a bit of a party near my birthday. And for some reason, I thought it'd be a cool thing to provide all the game designers with a little gift, even though it was my birthday. I decided to give everybody a gift. And the gift I gave out was this little alpha version of a playtesting journal. And it was just me doing the design, and it was just printed at Staples and literally stapled in the middle, and kind of handed out to everyone. But the response to it was really phenomenal, and it really took me back, and everyone's like, this is great, can I get another one of these? And people who didn't get to go to the event were like, hey, do you have any extra copies of that? I wouldn't mind one of those, that'd be great. And people are still using it in our group, and we've been playtesting and using this journal for the last year. All the people and it was people in the group, my other designers, that were kind of encouraging me to say, this, you should do something with this, like this, there's a need for this, you should put this on Kickstarter or something. I'm like, what, really? And obviously I thought about it, and I'm like, okay. And I took all the feedback and all the, criticism and things that we could do to improve the journal, and then put that into this version 2, which is the journal that's now available on Kickstarter, and got a graphic designer to make it look pretty. And there you go, Bob's Your Uncle. Now it's a full-fledged playtesting journal. And so now you're asking, what is it? And it's basically a guide to help you take the notes you need to take when you're playtesting your game, as opposed to just either a blank page or I don't know, whatever else or no notes, which is the saddest thing. I don't know if you've ever been part of any playtest, Blake, but it's if you ever go, it's happened to me where I go to a playtest and at the end I'm giving feedback to some game designer about their game, and they're not taking any notes at all. And I actually pause and I have to say, do you want to go get something to write this down?
Or am I wasting my breath?
Exactly, because like you're not going to remember it all. And he's like, "Oh yeah. Let me get a piece of paper." Like yeah, and then he just grabs a blank piece of paper and just takes notes based on whatever I say out loud, as opposed to something that's guided and it's going to get you all the information you need. And so this is broken down to have all certain different segments of the things you're going to need. Like, for example, it tells you, list your playtesters' names, and it says to do that in turn order. That's going to be key because right beside it, it has all the scoring. So you'll be able to see over time, is there a turn order advantage? Is it better to be start or end player in this game? You could see after multiple tests, you're like, oh, wow, start player wins an awful lot in this game. That could be an interesting observation. Even just getting the playtesters' names is actually very handy, because if the game does get signed and you get published, one of the things you're going to want at one point is you're going to want to thank your playtesters in the rulebook. Well, now you have access to all their names because it's in your playtesting journal, as opposed to you see posts on Facebook if you're friends with any game designers and they're like, has anybody played this game? Because I need to thank you.
There you go. Awesome. Yeah, so that's good. And it looks like there's quite a few things in there, like tips and all kinds of stuff, it looks like.
Yeah, a lot of the tip changes on every page. There's a pro tip on every page. The questions that you can ask your playtesters when it's time for feedback, that changes on every page, so you can kind of get some more variety of the types of questions you should be asking. There's sections for observations. There's a section even for winning player strategy. You can keep track of how did the winning player win, and that again will show you if there's a dominant strategy if you keep track of that over time. There's a section to keep track of all the times, like how long did it take to explain the rules, or how long did it take to play the game? Did you play the full game, or did you stop halfway through? This kind of stuff.
Awesome. And it looks like even some well-known game designers or publishers have actually had stuff to say about it, like including Jamie Stegmaier, Jonathan Gilmore. Those are a couple of the Ian Moss. Those are a couple of the people that I know of.
Yeah, I was because it's not a game. I didn't have the opportunity to send this out to like reviewers and have like reviewers review it, because it wouldn't work. Like normal board game reviewers wouldn't really care. So I thought about it. I'm like, the best thing to do would be to actually send this to some actual designers and see, a month or 2 months in advance and get them to use it and then tell me what they thought about it. And so this is literally every single person I sent it to. I got a quote from every single person I sent it to, and I'm so ecstatic and happy that they all thought it was great and they all thought it was a needed thing. And you can see if you go to the campaign page, which is failfaster.ca/Kickstarter, and you can see all of them had something amazing to say about it. I'm humbled, and it's awesome.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we leave all the links in the show notes so they can find it. Now, in creating the Fail Faster playtesting journal, did you have to playtest the actual journal?
Well, absolutely. As I said, I created this a year ago, last March, and we've been using it throughout the last year. And it was only until I think somewhere in around October is when I actually started to think about hiring a graphic designer to make this second version. So then it was from all that playtesting of throughout that last year that I'm like asking not just me, but all the designers in my local group, what are your thoughts? How can we make this better? Like what is missing? What could be better? And yeah, lots of stuff has changed. Like in the first version, it had a scoreboard in the back page on the back cover, inside back cover, which is like, hey, if you forgot your scoreboard, here's a scoreboard. It's included. The only thing is, if you use it as a scoreboard, it was the inside back cover. You couldn't also open the journal and take notes because it was on the inside cover. So now what I've done is it's double wide. It folds out. So the entire back cover folds out. And then there's a scoreboard that you can use as a scoreboard if you kind of forgot or you need a scoreboard for your game when you're playtesting. And while that's folded out, you can still use the journal to take notes.
Oh, awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
And when somebody's designing a game, is one journal going to be enough for them?
So it depends. I mean, there's a couple ways this journal can be used. I think, and I feel the way to use this journal is to have one journal per game that you're kind of working on. That's the best way, because you'll be able to see the progress of your game in one book, and you'll be able to easily flip back to 2, 3, 4 playtests ago and kind of confirm and see patterns a lot easier. So that's the best way. However, it's 100%. You can, if you just want to get one journal and you got 2 or 3 games you're working on, you can totally do that. It totally works. It's fine. It's just, I think, going to be more valuable if you use it one journal per game.
Okay, so there's an option to get more than one on your Kickstarter, I imagine?
Yeah, you get 1, 3, 10, or 25.
Okay, awesome. Now, somebody's listening later down on the road after the Kickstarter's closed, and possibly if you do a late pledge or anything, those are closed. Is there going to be a way that they can get this too?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm partnering with GameCrafter, so they're going to have some available on their site for more expensive than it costs now on the Kickstarter. And then also I'm working with some distributors to try to get it into retail stores.
Awesome. And speaking of GameCrafter, I don't remember if it was, I watched your video just barely, but you get some kind of $5 coupon code. Was that from GameCrafter or somewhere else?
Exactly right. Every single journal has a $5 coupon code to GameCrafter. How awesome is that? So whatever you're thinking about how much it costs, imagine it's $5 cheaper if you're going to be using that coupon.
Okay, so it's actually in the journal then.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, in the Game Crafter, I hear about it all the time on Alan Girding's Tuesday Night Gaming podcast. They'll help people get their prototypes and stuff so they can get the games to play test, as well as get it out to reviewers before they launch the actual game on Kickstarter, if I recall correctly.
It's such a perfect partnership for this journal because they're a great place to get components, so you can actually, as a game designer, order all sorts of components from them, and then B, you can get them to print your copies that you need to send out for Kickstarter previews. Like you want to get it in advance because you can't get the manufacturer in China to print some for you, obviously, to just print 1 or 2 or 10 or however many you're getting. And then C, they also allow game designers to upload their games fully, a full print and play, like not just print, like like full games, and consumers can go on the site and download and buy print on demand games.
Okay, awesome.
And they'll make it, they'll print it, and they'll ship it to you print on demand. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And so yeah, that's awesome. Now, when it comes to Fell Faster, the playtesting journal, is that just for people that are already designing games, or what would you say in that instance? Because I know I was talking to Gabe Barrett a little bit ago about what do you call it? He currently has a book on Kickstarter. I think it's still on Kickstarter about advice from game designers or whatnot. And what do you call it? He said when I interviewed him, he said everybody has a game in him, in his opinion.
That's kind of similar in the sense here that this is meant, and I'm so happy that a lot of the professional game designers that got quotes for me pretty much reinforce the message I'm trying to get out, which is that this is for anybody. If you're new and you've never designed a game before, this is going to give you the structure you need. And if you're experienced, this is going to help you create the habits you need to make sure that you take full advantage of the playtests and don't waste them. So yes, it kind of is for everybody that hasn't ever thought about, like, I think I might would like to design a game. Then this is going to help you with your structure.
Okay, awesome. So that's pretty cool. And so you don't overpromise and underdeliver. Somebody goes ahead and they back it on Kickstarter. When would they anticipate getting there so they can start jotting down their actual playtesting notes in it?
I've estimated October. I'm really hoping it'd be earlier, but because I've been part of so many Kickstarters myself and they're always late, I try to buffer a couple months in there. So I'm hoping it'll come a lot earlier than that, but obviously I could have also the same kind of issues and customs and holdups and stuff like that. So October is what I put.
That's good. Yeah. So I know that can be frustrating to backers, especially if there's no communication or whatnot. Now, what else are you working on? Can you share anything of upcoming games from Jay?
I do, but I have a couple more things I want to just say because I think it's kind of neat. I want to just for the Fail Faster Journal, 2 things I want to mention. One is a contest, and one is the stretch goals. The stretch goals, I did a totally different way, and I don't think I've seen too many, or if any, other Kickstarters have done stretch goals the same way I'm trying to do them here. And I did it the way I'm doing it, which I'll explain in a second, because I'm trying to emulate the concept of the journal. Now, one thing I haven't talked about the journal is that I've gamified the playtesting process. And how I've done that is I've identified 10 behaviors that if you do these behaviors, you kind of get to shade in a little progress bar each time you do it per playtest. And throughout these progress bars, there are these various little badges or icons. And when you get to shade in that badge or icon, you actually flip to the front cover and it has that same badge or icon. You get to color that in. And actually, because we unlocked one of the stretch goals, those are now going to be stickers. In the back page of the journal, there'll be a bunch of stickers. You get to actually put stickers on your front journal to show you which badges you're in. And it kind of emulates a Boy Scout sash with a badge kind of thing idea. And so that's great for pretty much anybody, but it's great for those newer designers that need that motivation and reason and kind of to stay on track with their behaviors and their habits. So that's kind of what that is. And so for the stretch goals, I've emulated that and I've created these progress bars. If you go to the Kickstarter page, and you'll see that as we progress through the campaign, I'm kind of inching along and coloring in these progress bars based on a bunch of different criteria. And every time we get to a badge, that gets into we start collecting these badges. And every time we have enough badges that we can spend on a stretch goal, because each stretch goal has a certain cost in badges, then we're going to have a poll, and it's actually the audience, it's actually the community, the backers, that get to decide which stretch goals we're going to unlock. And so I was really surprised that everybody voted to pass by all of the cheaper stretch goals, if you will, and they saved them all up. For the very first stretch goal they unlocked was the stickers, which was the most expensive stretch goal. It cost 16 badges, and so now we have stickers because the community wanted that. So that's pretty cool. I don't even know, as the creator of this Kickstarter, I have no idea what this book is going to look like by the end of it, which is pretty interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, and if I'm looking at it right, it looks like there's currently 20 badges unlocked. Is that right?
Well, if you look at the top of that section, it says currently unspent badges. There's 4 left because we spent 16 of them. There's 2 types of badges you can get. There's cumulative badges, so they're just kind of inching up as we progress. And then there's single day badges. How much funding did we do in a day? Or how many backers in a day? Or how many people responded to one of these polls? Because obviously I'm trying to drive engagement and get people kind of excited and into the campaign and part of the community. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I really like that idea. How'd you come up with the whole badge idea?
Well, it just kind of went part and parcel with the branding of this book, because I've gamified playtesting. It felt like, is there any way I can carry that over to this Kickstarter campaign? And it just kind of came to me from that.
Wow, I really like that. That's pretty cool. And you said there was something else you wanted to share besides the stretch goals?
It is. There's a contest going on right now, well, for the entirety of the campaign. And basically, there is a print and play sample available on the Kickstarter page. You can go there, print out a 4-page sample, and then you'll get some of the inside pages so you can do your own play test. And the contest is, use this in one of your play tests. Actually go out, test one of your games, use the journal. And then all I'm asking you to do is either tweet or Facebook post with a hashtag fail faster to win, TOWIN, to win, and tell me what you thought. Like, how did it work? Did you like it? Was it interesting? And every time you do that, you'll be entered into a draw. And every week we're going to draw for a prize. One person's going to win 3 journals every single week throughout this campaign.
Okay, even if they've already backed it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So they just need to use it. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so I definitely come and check out the stretch goals if you think you have a game in you, or you're currently designing a game, or just anything like that. It looks like a really cool thing. I would say even any kind of creative things that might work for that as well.
It's pretty tailored to board games. Like, the questions are very board game focused. So it's some people will be like, oh, can this work for video games? And can this? I'm like, that's an interesting, but I think you're going to be asking different questions and having different needs for that. But it's maybe in the future that'll be a different spin-off journal or something like that.
Well, there you go. Awesome. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And so what else do you have in the pipeline, or is there anything you can tell us about other games coming up from Jay?
Absolutely. Actually, very soon on March 18th, Sen and I have a game called Complex City. And it's coming out from Big Kid Games on Kickstarter on March 18th. And that's a tile laying game that we tried to solve the problem that tile laying games have. They usually have one of 2 problems. And problem 1 is the downtime and analysis paralysis when you're waiting for your turn, because you cannot even start to think about what to do on your turn because the board's going to change so much because it's a tile laying game. That's one problem with a tile laying game. Problem 2, to try to solve that, a lot of some tile laying games just make it individual. So you're just working on your own map, and then it's just multiplayer solitaire. And so we tried to solve both of those things, and I think we did it successfully.
Awesome. Well, we can watch out for that coming in a little bit, like the 18th of March, you said?
That's it.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds intriguing because, yeah, like you said, and I am currently one who suffers from analysis paralysis anyway.
And then then later this summer, we have a game again with Sen called Mind Management, and it's based on a comic book by Matt Kint, and it's one of my favorite comic books of all time. And it's just a really crazy, out there comic book about using your people being trained to use their minds in ways that we can't fathom to do crazy, fairly supernatural type stuff. And so we made a one versus many game, and it is pretty awesome, and I cannot wait for this to come out.
Cool. Did you use the Fell Faster playtest journal for it? For those?
No, because this was submitted way before this even existed, so it's been in the pipe for a long time.
Awesome. Now, when it comes to the Fell Faster, the playtesting journal, what makes this pop as something my listeners should go check out the Kickstarter page, and if they like what they see, back it on Kickstarter so they can get their own journal?
I think the thing is that there's just nothing like this out there. And if you're either thinking about designing a game, or you already are designing games, and you need help with ensuring you're getting the most you can get out of your playtests, including knowing what the right questions to ask and ensuring you get all the information possible, then check it out. Just at the very least, check out the campaign, because it's got pictures of all the different pages and all the different sections, so you can see like all the different reminders and tips, and like even some crazy silly tools that are included. That if you forgot your dice for a playtest, this book comes with dice, and I don't mean physical dice. I mean, you flip to any page, and there's a random 2d6 result in the left corner of every page.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering what that GIF was where it's changing for the dice on the pages. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. It even has a game idea generator. So even if you're kind of running out of ideas, you can roll dice again by flipping to any page, and you can get a random mechanic, a random theme, and a random constraint, which is brand new. I've never seen any kind of game idea generator out there that added constraints to it, which I think is the mother invention is constraints.
Oh boy, have you used that generator to come up with any games that we might look for later on down the road?
I haven't used it because I don't have problems coming up with ideas. That's not my problem. But I've used it at game jams, and I've used this whenever I do a game jam and have to give people some sort of restrictions on what they're supposed to design. And I give them one of each, and that's it.
What about your students? Have they ever used the generator?
No, because it's too much for them. Because I only get them for 7 weeks, and I get them one night a week, and so it's like it's fast paced. But I think it'll be that specifically might be too much. I do have an activity for them, an assignment where they actually have to come up with like 20 game ideas, and I don't want to just give them this because I think that'll make it too easy for them.
Yeah, you don't want them cheat. So hopefully your students aren't listening right now.
That's right. That's funny.
Our future students. What's a game jam, Jay?
A game jam is when, like usually at a convention or something, where a whole bunch of people come and volunteer to come to this place, and they usually get into teams, and they're given a certain amount of time, an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, to design a game together. And they're usually given some sort of constraint, which could be a theme, a mechanic, and some other constraint. And as a group, they design a game, and by the end of this hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, they have a game.
Wow, that sounds like pretty cool. Do you know of any games that have been published off of a game jam?
I do not. I don't know if the goal is to make something like, hey, let's make this a game. I think it's just a way to get usually to work with people, because sometimes you come to those and you come with your friends, and sometimes you come to those and you get partnered up with people you don't know. And I think it's a great opportunity to work with people you don't know, so that you can start to kind of circulate your brainwaves together to figure out to see how other people think, and that's just a great environment for the creative process.
Okay, awesome. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and just looking through the Kickstarter page, it sounds like something that, yeah, anybody who is thinking about or has ever thought about, or even if they're in the current process of playtesting the game, something they should definitely check out. And like I said, we'll leave all the links in the show notes. Now, mine is coming there to Canada to stalk you, Jay. How would people go about keeping up with you?
Well, you can go, yeah, exactly. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at either FailFasterJ or Bamboozle Bros. Bamboozle Bros is kind of my Twitter, and then I started a new one, obviously, for this Fail Faster called Fail Faster J, J-A-Y. You can go on Instagram at Fail Faster Journal, And you can go on Facebook, and I'm Jay Cormier.
Awesome, and we'll make sure you get those links to me, and I'll get everything put in the show notes so people can follow along. But yeah, we don't want to keep you all night, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us to talk all about the Fail Faster playtesting journal. We really appreciate it, Jay.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Wow, that was exciting. I don't even have any game ideas, and I want several journals. If you're like me, go back it now. What's on Kickstarter? Hit it, Princess Leaf.
What is this place? What is it doing here in the Leaves computer? Oh, it's Kickstarter Corner with the Leaves.
Who rules your gaming group? Or is it everyone for themselves? No more, because now you can totally let your inner villain out, but only in Big Bad Overlord. Big Bad Overlord is a competitive tabletop card and dice game where you use your luck and attitude to take over the world. Players assume the roles of evil dukes, each trying to destroy their rivals in order to become, you guessed it, new Overlord. It's a combat game with card drafting, bluffing, player elimination, and lots of bad puns. Players build their armies, form alliances, betray one another, and fend off the forces of good in the quest to become the greatest villain of them all. Did you catch my episode with the Big Bad Overlord himself? If not, hurry and go listen before he burns your village. Want it burned later on? He's got you covered in my favorite pledge level, Burn Your Village Last. However, during my interview, he convinced me to up my pledge so I can get the game and lack the burning of my village. But if you still just don't want it burned, first, get a load of this. If you pledge $1 or more, my numberless legions will burn your village last when they rampage through the countryside, wreaking havoc and destruction. But why not forego the village burning and just get the game like I said before, so you can be the one doing the burning. Only one way to do so, and that's by backing Big Bad Overlord before Wednesday the 27th of March. Just before I got sick last week, I was able to get to Gaming Group, and seeing how Wizard Leaf and I were the only ones there, we got to pick the games to play thanks to our awesome game group leader, Chris from Casual Game Revolution. I picked Valeria Card Kingdoms. It was awesome. We love Machi Coral, but I'm thinking for older ones, this is my new favorite. It's a tableau building game. It's set in the fantasy realm. You get to kill monsters, so yeah. Guess what? They have an expansion pack on Kickstarter currently. That's right, Valeria Card Kingdoms Crimson Seas. Sell to lands beyond the borders of Valeria in Crimson Seas, the third full expansion to Valeria Card Kingdoms. But why should they stop there? I guess you're thinking just like them, because they are producing 3 products in this Kickstarter campaign. Crimson Seas, an expansion to Valeria Card Kingdoms, Ward Tower, Valeria Card Kingdom expansion pack, and Corsairs of Valeria, a standalone dice game. So go check out the campaign and back it. Plus, make sure you subscribe to Getting Geeky with Game Relief on your favorite podcast catcher so you don't miss mine and Wizard Leaf's review of the base game when it comes out. Check out their campaign and back it before Tuesday the 26th of March. You really like fuzzy and cute? You like cartoons? You like cats but are allergic? Or just plain like cats and cartoons? What if I told you that you didn't have to be glued to an electronic screen in order to get your fix, so to say? Well, that's exactly what I'm telling you. Combine your love of these things with your love of gaming, and you've got Fuzzy Mage Fight. It's a card game for 2 to 6 players. Play as fuzzy mages with unique abilities, fighting to become the most magical fuzzy mage ever. They fund it in 6 hours. I have it on good authority that they'll be doing a giveaway with the Giveaway Geek soonish. And by being subscribed to our podcast, which I know you are, that'll give you an extra entry just by entering. So, be on the lookout for that. Either way, check out Fuzzy Mage Fight on Kickstarter before Wednesday the 27th of March. If it's up your alley, back it as well. While you were sleeping, Puzzling Pixel Games released a new game to Kickstarter. What was it? Well, you've come to the right place. It's A Note for Murder, a portable card game of deduction set in the world of Sherlock Holmes. Deduce the criminal, their weapon, and the planned location of the murder before it occurs. It uses one of the mechanics that I loved from one of Tay-T Woo's games, where others can see your card but you can't. On Saturday's episode, you can hear my interview with the publisher, so make sure you're subscribed in your favorite podcast catchers to Getting Geeky with Game Relief, and then check out their Kickstarter page and back it before Thursday the 11th of April. Zura Games, a proud backer of my Season 3 Kickstarter campaign that's still going strong, just launched what looks like a great game, Dino Dig. It's a set collection game of Risk, Chance, and dinosaurs. Man, does this look like a fun game. Be on the lookout for a quick 5-minute episode all about Dino Dig coming to you next week. Make sure to back Dino Dig on Kickstarter before Monday, the 8th of April. It's my least favorite time and your least favorite time. Time for us to get on with our lives, you to get on with yours. But in the meantime, I hope you'll get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others into the geek fold by sharing this podcast with them. Gamer Leaf out.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.